Aloha Kohala. It is 3 o'clock here at KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala on September 18th, 2024. You're listening to Intuitive Talk Story with Eila Allgood and
Michál Anna.
Hi, Michál. How are you?
I am really well. How are you today?
Yeah, well, thank you for floating in today. It's very interesting to, we've been doing this show a while, and I'm seeing you floating now. Today was floating. Usually it's more like a running from thing to thing I see with you, but today you just kind of sauntered in, floated in.
Yeah, I was in my garden today, enjoying creating planting seeds, planting papayas, planting pineapples.
And aren't we planting seeds here on Intuitive Talk Story?
Well, if we're out in the world doing anything positive, we're planting seeds. And I think the whole journey is about planting seeds, really, and really maybe letting go of it being about much of anything else. I've realized in the journey, that's all we get to do, plant seeds and be unattached to whether or not they grow. Sometimes they grow, sometimes they don't. Some seeds are for you to water closely. Some seeds are just for you to throw out, as you're going by and give them a chance to grow. One never knows.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I think I'm going to throw in today my favorite motto, unattached and amused. And, plant seeds, unattached and amused, I think.
Well, I like the analogy with the seeds because, sometimes you can really nurture them and you get a beautiful plant. Sometimes you can really nurture them and you get nothing. And sometimes you can do absolutely nothing and you get a beautiful plant. And it's actually not me or you that gets it. It's just what is going to happen. So that is the unattached part, is to plant it, conscious or unconscious. You're planting seeds all the time. And then step away and keep going. Go on to the next thing. And if it needs some attention, you feel you need to give it attention, give it attention.
Well, and I'll go, I love that. And I'm going to take it a little more into the analogy world. But some things we make agreements, because then we have agreements. So I have agreements with certain plants to take care of them. I am their steward and I make sure they have water or this or that. There's things I'm agreed to. Then if those agreements are no longer serving, then I can make an agreement to do something different, which sometimes is the case when you nurture something for quite some time and maybe you're very much, but it's not really growing. Maybe it's just not happening. It's the plant's not taking off, whatever. You might choose to abandon that project or abandon that plant, or to not abandon in the sense of, not in the sense of, abandonment, but you may choose to know that this is not working. We're not having a symbiotic situation, and allow that plant to make another choice. But that's kind of more, that's a different analogy. We're going to come back to that. But there's other plants that I didn't make any agreements with ever. Like I just threw seeds out when I was driving by, threw some seeds, hey, you just plant stuff along the way, woo, and who knows, maybe it'll grow, maybe it won't. But I didn't make any agreements to tend those seeds. If I've made agreements, I'm going to honor them. And then I'm going to be discerning when it's time to change agreements.
It's really being conscious, and being that we live in an agricultural community, I think a lot of people can relate to the planting. And there have been times where I have nurtured, I'd water every few days, whatever it was that needed it. And then it's like, it has a life of its own and it doesn't need me anymore. Now it's the rain and the sun, and it's sustaining itself.
Yes.
I still love them and I appreciate them, but I don't have to tend to them.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we want to, help one another. We're not, as a body worker, a worker and a light worker or whatever. I struggle with all these labels. But anyway, as someone who does that kind of stuff, I always think of it as like I'm assisting you in understanding and empowering yourself. And then, then you're your own lighthouse and off you go kind of thing. And if you ever need to reflect, great. But we're all helping reflect and empower so that we ultimately, as we say, you're completely sovereign. Same with the plant. The tree becomes sovereign. Once it gets big enough, it's sovereign and it's just producing fruit. Maybe I'm giving it fertilizer. Maybe I'm helping it, if it tells me it needs something kind of thing. But we're allowing this sovereignty of each of us to be the tree as well as that which we're tending to.
Yeah. And so as we move through our lives and we share wisdom and knowledge with one another, and maybe somebody takes that little piece of something that we shared and they're able to do something with it and cultivate it into their own life in a way that, creates positivity for them. And that's part of being unattached too, because often we don't know what happens when that person moves on in their life, right?
Yeah. And, that's actually, we've touched on this before, but as I've been a dance teacher, teaching artists in the schools and developed theater programs and stuff. And I've got to kind of, all these kids are older now. So I've gotten to actually get some feedback once in a while of these seeds that I planted with these kids. And it's pretty beautiful to reflect with the keiki in that way and feel like a little like, oh, that was something meaningful for them. And that feels good, to know that you've done something meaningful and that they actually took some of it with them.
Yeah. And it's nice if you get that feedback. Often we don't know.
Yeah, we often do not.
I'm finding at this point in my life, once in a while, one of my very grown children say something to me about something when they were little. And I'm like, wow, I have no recollection of that, but I'm glad it's worked for you and helped you through your life.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
Oh, wow, I was more evolved than maybe I thought I was at the time.
Right.
So.
And isn't that fun how morsels like that, like from an uncle, a dad, a mom, a teacher, stick inside your mom, stick inside your mind.
Yeah.
And, they become, little codes that help us through things. And I think language is like that. It's codes, little phrases, sayings, prayers, that help us remember, ultimately get us through to the next place so that we can come back into sovereignty.
Yeah. And, one of the things I've really come to appreciate is it's rarely the things that I think are going to be, oh, this would be great to tell so-and-so so that helps them. It's usually the dancing in the moment and kind of inspired words or guidance or messages that come through me or come through someone for me. That's where really there's more magical happening. So those people who are listening, if you're thinking, well, what do I know? I'm only 30 or I'm only 50 or I haven't lived that. We all have the ability to bring forth wisdom from higher realms, from higher parts of ourselves. We're more than Michál sitting here and Eila sitting here and you sitting there, wherever you are. There's so much more to you than that, and you are connected to spirit, whether you're conscious of it or not. It is who you are.
Absolutely, which brings us all those beautiful
Goosebumps
tools, all those beautiful tools we talk about.
Yeah.
Meditating and becoming present to remember and understand that you are a living being, living light here in this being, in this having this experience. That's kind of what, in fact, all the intuitive talk story is really about, is about this source energy flowing through us and allowing source to be present, allowing source to guide the way, to be the thing that drives the bus per se. So we're all just, kind of, we talked about this before, we're all in avatars. We're all in these fun, we're in the big earth game. We're in an avatar and we push our little avatar and we get to see what we're working with. But ultimately we're these awesome living lights connected to the unity intelligence, connected to all that is channeling forth our divine energy. And we all have access to this united place, which is what the meditations are about. And tools are about getting into that place where you go inside and you create and open a sacred field and you connect into unity intelligence, the unity field of living Christ, living God, however you want to describe that. And you allow yourself to release what you think, it's not of my will, but divine will. I don't know, little me is like, let go of little me and surrender, what I think I am. And a lot of the things we talk about on the show are about programs and about wounding and emotions that keep us in structured or frequencies or programs that aren't serving, that keep us in beliefs or places that aren't serving. And at this time, we have such a magical opportunity to embody what Eila's talking about, to embody the spirit, to recognize our spiritual selves, and to know that we are on a really long journey. And now's the time to kind of like drop anything else that you haven't dropped over this really amazing year of transformation and moving up through evolution and the crystal spiral, I call it. You know, there's a lot of opportunity. Eila and I kind of both listened. I had her listen to this Pam Gregory, which is great, astrologer, if you like astrology.
And she's British, so it's just a pleasure to listen to her accent.
Yeah, she's very sweet.
She has a lovely way of speaking. Yeah.
And she does a lot of updates, but she did this one right now on the Libra equinox, September 22nd. And, you know, what's happening in that. She talks a lot about this last dip opportunity to ditch anything, which I've been feeling very strongly as well. And she talks about Capricorn, which is top-down structures, dipping back in for the next couple of months, if that means anything to you. Can mean something on a greater scale, and it can also mean just like everything's pushing really hard to keep old systems, and it's time to stay really committed to the new systems we are creating, to keep our eye on the prize, so to speak, and to really stay focused on what it is you are wanting to put your energy towards, not getting pulled towards the old stories.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. And we were I have felt some energies opening up recently, different opportunities, interactions that I've had feel like, oh, this is where things are going. Oh, great. And I want to be conscious of continuing that movement forward and not get caught up in some drama that might come up in my life. I don't have time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Exactly.
I really want to, and I want to, the thing I'd like to do next is already see it. I know we've talked about this before. It's like, well, I want this and I want that. Well, no, already see that. And I don't know what that is. It's just an intention and a vibration.
So what I love to share with myself and with clients on this one is you don't have to know what something is, but you know what you want to feel. Like, I know I want to feel peace. I want to feel satiated, excited, and passion. I want to feel like this juicy feeling. So draw into the emotion. And right now, even, because every moment is an opportunity to try something.
Absolutely.
Like, we don't have to wait. So we can all just take a breath for a second. My eyes are closed. And just kind of draw into what makes you feel alive. What kind of energy do I want to experience? Like, what is the energy I want to feel? And just breathe into that for a second. As you feel that energy, you just start to sense, like, I'd like to draw that energy more into my life. I want more of that. And you can almost see it like pixie dust, kind of like surrounding you, or imagine it like a blanket, or imagine it like just coming towards you, or just engulfing and basking in it. That this energy I draw to me, because I already have everything I need. And in having everything I need, there's nothing I have to reach for. I just allow all things to be vibrated to me with this feeling of it. And so it is.
Lovely, thank you. It got me, some words came up for me. You said excitement and passion, and I thought about peacefulness and meaningfulness. And if anybody out there is listening and wants to call in, we would love to hear what you'd like to be bringing in, because when you do that, when you give it voice, it becomes more in 3D. You're really attracting it now.
Yeah, you
right?
claim it. You
really
claim it. And that's what affirmations are about, claiming it. Like, this is what's happening. And then accountability. And also, or not accountability in this case, more like bearing witness. Like, yes, sister. Yes, brother.
Right, support.
Yeah, support.
Let us support you. And also, you may say something. You call in, you say something. Here's what I want to bring in. 5 other people connect with that, and you inspire. So we inspire each other. So if you want to call in, 808-884-5657. I promise I'll keep an eye towards the phone. That's usually my biggest problem, is I don't look at it. So I have it here, and 808-884-5657. Call us in with something that you're wanting to bring in. And if we move on to something else and then you think of it, doesn't matter. Call and
No problem.
We'll pick it up.
We're here.
We're here.
We're here for another 45 minutes.
Yes, we are. And so the other thing that we were talking about that I feel connects to this is sometimes some of the things that hold us back, or we think are holding us back, is the victim. We talked a little bit about that before we came on the air today, about being either feeling like a victim or seeing other people in that role of victim, and how that creates this dynamic that if someone's a victim, someone's a perpetrator. And I hadn't thought about it quite that way before we were talking about it.
Well, and so Pam Gregory, back to that, we were referencing that show, and she brought this up as something that's going out, which I always agree with, because I've been saying victimizer is out the door, Christ crucifixion is out the door for quite some time here. But right now, back to it's really up, she brought up this victimizer and a victim needing a perpetrator, that you can't really have a victim program run without a perpetrator. So, for instance, she was just saying how many people might be experiencing that old systems are falling apart. They're leaving the scape. You're realizing that maybe frequencies are no longer in alignment with work situations, relationshiping of all different kinds. And some of that might be due to this deep victim programming that's really running for a lot of folks. And you want to check if has it been running for myself? Have I been running a victim program? And where have I been enabling someone else's? So we've all had different roles with the victimizer program at some point in your journey. You have someone who's like, that's been that in your world. And so it also gets into boundaries and holding clear boundaries for yourself. And the only way to release old relationships and programs is to make a new choice. We cannot operate. I was telling a client yesterday, you can't do the definition of insanity is to do the same thing and expect different results.
Yes, it
doesn't change. You can't think, well, no, they're going to get it this time. If I just do, if I do it the other way, it never works. You have to allow, let go.
Right. If you keep doing the same thing with a person, say a friend who has the victim program running, and maybe it's not super obvious, maybe it's kind of subtle, but it's there, because every once in a while they say, oh no, so and so did this, so and so said this to me. Or I think a thing that a lot of people use, and we don't recognize it as victim is health. Oh, I got a cold. I can't believe I got a cold. Like it came out of the ether and they had nothing to do with it. The person might take no responsibility for an ailment or an illness or an injury. And to me, that is being a victim. I mean, there's a place like, I stub my toe and it hurts and I need some empathy around that. But then there's why did that happen? What was I doing at the time? What's my role in it? Not blame, just owning it and recognizing that I have some responsibility in my health, whether it's mental health, physical health, emotional health.
So,
yes, what would you like to say about that?
I'd like to say that in order, let's go back to the root and the leaping points. And I talk a lot about leaping from unity. And this leaping from unity to me is equal with claiming self-responsibility. What is love? It's responsibility. Being responsible for myself or that which I'm a steward of, being caring for something, for me, for others. We're in care, we're in responsibility. And so if we recognize this is the core of our unit, we want to operate from this place, this unified field, we know that everything else is actually, anything that doesn't feel good, it's bad, or it gives us a bad feeling, or it's telling us something, it's not you. It's a program. It's fueled by an emotional wound, or you've picked up some energy and you're running something else that doesn't belong to you. So if we come back into this framework that our true nature is to be in total love, responsibility, in this unified place of breathing into source in each and every day, as we began the conversation with this spirit-infused experience, that's really it. That's what's happening. That's the truth. And everyone's just peeling away the layers to get to this brilliancy which rests within. So in order to do that, we have systems of thought. So you want to, it's like we get tricked by our own selves. Going, why would this happen? Why? Well, of course I know why it would happen, because there's an emotional wound and there's a program, and that's what's running. I mean, if I dissect it and take a minute to logically think through it with my tools, I'll figure it out. See? So if I allow myself to be victimized by why something out there, then there's another aspect of victim. Yeah. Well, I just don't know. I just can't. But no, if I stop and think, because we're all smart beings. If we stop and we think, you put on your thinking cap, you dive into your brain, your being, your feelings, you look back at a situation, you're willing to be responsible for your own self and how I might have shown up. And I'm willing to be truthful about whatever I'm looking at. The more I'm able to do that, the more I'm able to see the truth, the more I'm able to dissect things, the more I'm able to move things out of my scape, clearing these fields of trauma and victim-victimizer and martyrhood. And victim-victimizer is the blame game. It's a program. Anything that's blaming yourself or one another or something out there then I am running a victim program. If I'm blaming, I am running the program. You just want to know, where am I running it from? It's because I don't feel I'm good enough. I don't feel that I'm loved. I don't think I'm supported. I don't think someone's seeing me or valuing me. And usually this is going to come from one of your primary caregivers. Usually that's a mother or father. It could be another primary caregiver. So it's somebody who's in your early scape. We're unwinding most of our early scape programming. That's how we're unwinding our trauma, is from this time period. So, I actually did a session the other day. We went back to a birth. And we were in the womb. Like it was set in the womb. And so we were unwinding the trauma set in the womb. Plus, we are dealing with ancestral lineage and other things too. But you can catch a lot of things. First, you're unwinding your own trauma. What happens to me since I arrived, kind of thing. Then you're unwinding what's in my lineage and what might I do that my grandma does and my great-grandma. So first, permaculture, healing, zone 1 first. You start here.
Zone 1, yeah.
Start with zone 1. Like
zone 1 is you.
Yeah, myself. Let me get through my initial trauma, right?
Right.
And then once you do that, then okay, now let's look at the greater traumas and peel those away. And then we're really looking at running more light through the body system to activate more of this beautiful essence, that you already are actually, but sometimes don't know until you've done all the peel away.
Well, and I think that's really important, because we need so much of that right now. We need people to do the work. And I'm seeing a lot of people, a lot of big shifts right now, where people are walking away from people they've known for a long time, out of their life, people leaving the planet. Just seeing a lot of that, not by UFO aircraft either. They're dying and they're passing and they're going on. And when I think about what work I need to do, and sometimes it's hard, I think, well, it's easier than leaving. I don't want to leave. Not that it's easier than leaving. I want to be here, and in order to be here, I need to do the work. That's my belief.
Yeah.
And I want to stay as long as I'm useful and helpful, and clearing up the ancestors and clearing up the descendants, and we're clearing it all so that the next generations can go to other heights.
Absolutely. We're really in such a transitional time here of this never been done before, time to move into a higher framework and let old systems topple and allow new systems to be created, and putting our energy towards these unified systems, like I said, leaping from unity in our thinking. And for me, that's also, don't spend where are you putting your energy? Are we putting our energy into these dualistic systems that are failing already? If you're trying to fix those, it's like, why? Why are we trying to fix things that don't work? Let's create new systems that work. A lot of people, we're all much more intelligent than the society has told you. They have told you to talk to somebody else, like I was saying earlier about the health. Go to somebody else, go get a shot for this, go to somebody else. If anything's wrong with yourself, you're supposed to go to somebody else.
Right.
Although I'm a practitioner and I'm happy to support and help, I don't want you coming to me because you're like, I'm
fix me.
You fix me, and or that you don't have the power. In fact, I'm here to help empower you to know that you have the answer inside yourself, and that actually, I mean, when you go to someone, you need them. I mean, if I break my leg, then I mean to go to a doctor to help do that.
Right.
Well, I'm not saying just, I'm not
just go to La La Land.
Yeah,
No.
I'm not la-lying about it, but I'm saying
Yeah.
own your power. You're like, maybe I have the capacity to look online to fix this bolt in my, my cabinet or whatever it might be.
Right.
Give yourself, take baby steps, but whatever you think you're not able to do, take a step forward. And, maybe I can. Maybe I can do that and give myself a little more for a little more support in stretching and seeing how wide and expansive and amazing you really are.
And I would say, if you have very few issues right now, now's the time to get started. What I've learned in my life.
Not with having issues.
No, but I mean, like, I started on a path of wanting to take responsibility of getting well when I had an ear infection. Not when I had a disease. It was manageable.
Right.
And I had time. I could take time back then there was no internet. So I'd go to the library, I'd go to the bookstore, I'd read about this, I'd read about that, I'd contact somebody. It wasn't like it all had to happen in 2 days. I had time to learn it.
No, it's a lifestyle.
Right. And so then if something else came up for me or somebody I knew, I had some more information and I had resources. So now we have the internet. So now you can get information kind of quickly, and you can find a practitioner like Michál who can help empower you and say, oh, okay, here, we're going to do this kind of a thing. And then what else do you want to do? Not here's what you need to do, right? You don't tell people what to do. You're guiding them so that they can then go to whatever next step they need to go to.
Yeah, they're all tools, and they're how you like to use them. And it, it's a beautiful thing. For me, what I do a lot of is remove things that were maybe hindering you, and then you see it yourself. Basically, you're like, oh. Kind of like that sometimes. Sometimes it's very intense like that. Like literally, like the people come out of and they're like, wow, everything's brighter. I feel more alive and I can see clearer, which is a really fun thing to bear witness to.
Yeah.
But in general, that's what we're doing. We are all that brilliant and bright, and we are peeling away back to this game of power, the earth game you're in. We are getting siphoned by our thoughts, by the things we give power to. So anytime you divide, you basically are separate in yourself, separate in your thinking, think that I couldn't do that. Eila's not going to like it. But I just separated. I just gave my power away to something I'm perceiving, which isn't even true. See, so I'm creating all these things in my mind. So if I come from a unified field, it means back to that. If I'm leaping from unity, I'm going inherently, I already know Eila's on my side. I already know she's my friend. There's connection. We are together. We're in aloha. And I'm not separating in my mind's eye. So a lot of our problems stem from this duality we separate within our mind. The reason we do that is because we have emotional wounds. So we're separating because someone hurt us. A parent, a sibling, those early memories. So, and that can be in lots of small to big ways. You could have, of course, there is obvious traumas, abuse of all kinds. Those are obvious traumas and require revisitation into the self, not in a talk therapy, relive the moment, but in a get your power back out of those moments kind of way. For all supports of trauma. But trauma can be just, moments where we had something happen that didn't feel good, and then we transcribed it somewhere in our mind to become something, and now we perceive it that way, and it stays. Because time is not linear. We are actually experiencing it all right now. So this now field is also more prevalent and more accessible than ever before. The ability to really change things as quick as we are being able to now, to quantum jump, which is what I'm doing all day, like quantum jumping. We weren't able to really do it like this before. It's really actually really amazing.
I love what you said about the get your power back from trauma, and that talk therapy isn't always let's just say it's not the only way. Maybe that's working for someone, maybe it's not. and that it's also valuable to get some help on the other invisible levels of your energy field to work through that trauma and to release it.
Yeah, and
is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and just to expand anyone out there who's like, well, I've never done anything like that. I don't know what it is. What is this crazy stuff she's talking about? Anyone that's saying that, I'm not really talking about anything crazy. These are like meditation techniques, and energy is just vibration and sound. We are vibration. Like 98% of your field is just microbes and environment of compounds, and 2% is your soul essence. So we're dealing with stuff that's really not what we thought in the first place. So kind of to start from there. But yeah, we are able to move into places in your own mind. What I do is help you go into this unity field. Where we go into that, I can help lead you through it. Once you understand how to do it yourself, you can do this for yourself. And I do have meditations actually even on my channel. Pick up your pearls. It's free. YouTube, you can check it out. And I think it's on the daily tools list. And these are just that you can go in. And the difference between talk therapy and doing this is that you left like a piece of your heart, or like, oh, my energy, I cry. I mean, I think I'm a piece of poop. And so I leave a piece of myself on the floor. That memory is still rolling. So when someone does something similar, I'm literally enacting the 7-year-old because it's there. So we have to go into the memory, and you have to like actually get your stuff. Like, we look around with your inner self, and you can show your inner self because you really do know at this point in your life, usually. A lot of times you might know, sometimes you don't, and that's why it can be really helpful to have somebody help you see it. But if you already know, well, yeah, of course, my dad was this or my mom was that, and of course she loved me, but she just had a hard time. You know that, but you don't, your little child doesn't understand many things. Plus, there's a lot of entity and energies at play. People are not all in charge of themselves. They're ruled by other things. So then you're showing your inner self that person wasn't even that person. It wasn't even the person you thought. She was being ruled by some other energy due to their own addiction or problem or sadness
due to
or
ancestor
depression.
Stuff. Yeah,
or
all
ancestry.
Kinds of stuff.
Or.
Right.
Lots of ors.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of things that can be going on. However, point is, you're not just reliving the action and then going, okay, I talked all about it again. You're grabbing things, and you're and you're forgiving. A really important part is forgiving.
Right.
We have to forgive. We have to zero it. We have to ho'oponopono and forgive and zero it out. And then we're literally turning it into purple light. You can do lots of ways, but you just make it zero, like poop. It's literally zeroing it out. So it's no longer in your energetic framework. Because you can imagine all these memories are like little bubbles in your aura. Like, think of it like that. And you're like popping all the bubbles till there's no more outstanding memories. And then you're just whole. See?
Yeah. Well, I thought also, before we take a break, I just wanted to say that when you brought up that some people experience trauma in the womb, like that's not a memory that we're going to access easily. And we might not know it's there till we're working with somebody who goes and takes us there, or we go into some deep meditation where it surfaces. So it's like, how can you fix what you don't know is there? How can you deal with it if you don't know it's there? It's the willingness to go look.
Yes.
Yes. Let's go see it. All right. We're going to take a station break, and then remember to give us a call at 808-884-5657 to let us know what you're looking to bring in. Excitement, passion, meaningfulness, peacefulness. You tell us. We need another one. All right.
The North Kohala Community Resource Center's board and staff want to extend a big mahalo to all our generous supporters, loyal sponsors, dedicated businesses, and fantastic community members. Because of you, NKCRC has served our North Kohala community for 22 years and will continue to thrive. From September 27th through October 7th, we are launching our 12th annual online auction and are asking the community for their support. Please consider donating a gift for our auction. Please bring your item to the Resource Center by September 24th. All proceeds will help us sustain our valuable services within the community. You will be supporting more than 60 community projects, ensuring our continuity and the success of our mission. Our auction welcomes a wide range of goods and services. Donations are tax deductible, and donors will be honored and recognized. For more information on donating your unneeded treasure or unique services, please call 889-5523.
Aloha! This is Eila Allgood of Women's Voices. Please join me on Wednesdays between 4 and 6 p.m. on KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. We never quite know what we're going to be hearing because most of my choices are intuitive, unless they come from you, my listening audience, when you call in and make a request. I look forward to playing tunes for you.
The Kohala Oral History Project is recording food stories and memories for its intergenerational video oral history project. If you have a special family dish or Kohala food memory, please share them with us. We are interviewing Kupuna on September 14th and gathering recipes for a cookbook. For more information, email kohalaoralhistoryproject@gmail.com or contact Amu Kainoa at 808-895-2545. Mahalo.
Mahalo and welcome back to Intuitive Talk Story on September 18th, 2024. It's 3:37 and this is Eila Allgood with
Michál, Anna.
And I want to give a shout out to Lydia who just called in, and thank you so much. We'd love to have a little feedback once in a while live on the show. And if anybody else wants to call in, tell us what you're feeling you want in your future, 808-884-5657, or any other questions.
Or anything you're cutting away, anything you're surrendering to, or
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to share today.
Yeah.
And a shout out to my Grammy one more time because today is her actual birthday.
Happy birthday, Grammy.
Yes.
She's back in Colorado.
She is. And again, back to the work. Wow, how amazing to have a family. Our family is a wealth of reflections and joy, you know, and ourselves. It's as we love our family, you love yourself too.
Well, and so I just got this. You were with your mother and your grandmother, and this week I'm going to be with my daughter and my grandson.
Oh,
So it's like a
perfect.
Yeah, three generations going in a different way.
Forward and back.
Yeah.
So forward and backward is what we're all clearing. We get to do this forward and backward thing. And that's what is also exciting is as you do your work, know that these programs you're releasing, and especially if you put into your prayers, like, all that I represent and, in behalf of all that I'm a part of, you're clearing it not just for yourself, but you're clearing it forward and backward. Like we like to put in the language across all timelines, forward and backward, so that you are really doing something that actually is just way beyond most people can think of when we're thinking about the Earth game. You're actually playing a huge game, like mini lifetime game. Like each lifetime's kind of like, just part of this chess game. And you've had so many, we all have, and I know that's a really reincarnation kind of concepts or can feel real out there for some people, but to be honest, it's not that out there. It's just not.
Not anymore.
It's just not. And we really are in this huge game. And a lot, it's not like one thing being true makes something else not true. A lot of times, unfortunately, I want to just put out there for religion, into the religion field. Honestly, there's a golden thread in the religion. Each religion has some truth in it. Each has something that's of value, that's speaking principles and values. When you kind of release the dogmatic or dualistic or judgmental thinking that you can feel vibrationally inside some of those materials, and you lift up that golden thread, that golden circle, you can feel the unified truth. So you take all those, and it's kind of like taking the 12 back to the 12 tribes, or the 12 signs of astrology, or the 12 of the stargates, or the 12 of your chakras. There's a lot of symbolism all over the place that we are activating the 12 pieces of yourself through the timelines to come into this wholeness. So when we take it all and we put it together, we see the whole picture. So it's like, not if one thing's right, it doesn't make something else wrong. It's more of like, just go wider with your perspectives, go wider with how we've looked at things. For all of us, we're just all going wide. I'm constantly blowing my own mind.
So as you were talking, I was imagining, we've talked about how we all affect each other. And that, like, when you and I are sitting here and there's this person called Eila and that person called Michál, and then we get together, we have a conversation, and I feel like we have an energy that's something that's not you or me. It's both of us and then beyond. And then it sends these ripples out. And for those of you who wonder, well, I'm doing this work for me, but what does it matter? Well, by doing your work for you, you're sending ripples out, and then you interact with another person and you say, oh, I had this meditation today, or maybe you bring some positivity to somebody, and that ripples out. And we keep doing that, and it goes in all directions across all timelines, and I'm getting all chills all over my body. So somebody's saying, yes, that you're on track. When I get that, that's a confirmation of what I'm talking about isn't out of my head. It's from wherever it comes from. And so there's this ripple effect, 3D, 4D, 5D, whatever D you want to consider it. And that's pretty exciting to me.
It is so exciting.
Yeah.
Because we're vibrating. And back to that, we're just all vibrating. And you're vibrating experiences to yourself. So we started talking about victims in these programs. We're seeing those still in our story. It's because somehow we're vibrating it to us, and we have to see where, why, how, and what, and be willing to look at those things and move them out of our framework. If you so choose. I mean, you can hold on to anything you want, but I mean, personally, I'm doing my best to let go of everything that's no longer serving, giving thanks and praise to move up the crystal spiral and continue doing the good work and living in as much love and joy and freedom and peace that I can in each and every moment, every day, every breath.
So that brings me to another place. I got interviewed the other day, I mentioned to you, with this documentary. And one of the things that this person was focused on was nuclear this and nuclear that. And I recognize that is the reality that she's living in. And the world needs, one of the things I said to her is, I don't live in that reality. She's like, do you think about where you are strategically on the planet? I'm like, no, like, not when it comes to that topic. What I think of is that I have this amazing life, and I want to keep evolving because I want to keep raising the consciousness for myself and that ripple effect, so that somebody in another part of the world who maybe has a really hard time and it's more dense, we've talked about density, that it can maybe spark a little bit of light, because as we know in quantum physics, there is no over there.
Right. And so as you vibrate, yeah, exactly. You vibrate your reality and you're able to vibrate it around us. We're all living on different earths. And this gets into a concept that can be difficult for many, and it's physics. Bashar, if you're not familiar with him, he's very interesting.
Who?
It's Bashar. He is, it's a being, channels a being named Bashar.
Okay.
And it's just, he was explaining this on one of his videos, and the gentleman that asked the question just could not wrap his head around it. And he kept going on about the 3D aspects. And it was just kind of interesting to listen to Bashar trying to tell him about this concept, which is that right now, we're traveling Earth just as we're all moving through this conversation. As you awaken more things, we are creating a different reality. We're making new choices. The second we make a new choice, we're creating this new reality together that we're all a part of. All of our choices are creating this reality. These things that you quote unquote hear about, remember, most of the things you hear about are from the black box. And if you're experiencing them right in front of you, well, then there's a reason why, and you get get to look at it, right? If they're just like things I'm hearing about in
Right.
some way, yes, there's like the be helpful and be of service to that which you can out there. Obviously, we're not all living everywhere.
Right.
So we can be helpful and know a general schematic of maybe what's going on that feels like it's in your framework to expand into and understand. And then there's some things that are just like back to that victims. If someone's really living in a victim consciousness, I'm probably not going to give it much energy. Like, okay, great, enjoy that reality. I'm not really interested in living in that reality, and I'm really clear about reality, what I want to be living in. So, see, we get to choose where I vibrate, and then ultimately, I don't vibrate around people like that anymore. Certain
Right.
people are vibrating out of my life, and I'm vibrating deeply in other ways because I'm just choosing higher vibrations, clearer boundaries, clearer things in my world, understanding that, we can only do so much. We can only do so much. We can, and you can, there's only so much you can do. You have to go down every rabbit hole for yourself to find every piece for your puzzle. And once you've done that, we can't do the path for anybody else.
Right. No, we can offer guidance.
You can lead a horse to water. You can't
Yeah,
make him drink. We
exactly.
can't to do the game for anyone. Everyone's got controls of their own game.
And there is no one way
No.
to do it, and there's
a long game.
and it's a long
It's a
game,
long
and,
game.
and there is no finish line.
No, it's just
and there was-
eternal.
right, it's just eternity. But there's also no, we live in our 3D world. We live in. There's a lot of competition. We're gonna play a game and I'm gonna win. There's gonna be a winner and a loser. That's not the way this is. We're just all doing.
Well, it's a winning for yourself. As someone who has like always done ice skating and dance, I remember there was points in my life where I'd be places like think, oh, she's trying to be all of that, dancing like that or whatever. But I'm
Right.
not. I never was. I'm just trying to be my best self for me. I'm just trying to be my best for myself. The game is with me. It's with my
Right.
best. It's not with anybody
Right,
else.
do your best.
It's my own capacity that I'm reaching for, my own bar of what am I capable of. I'm always trying to push that. So it's not about anybody else's bar. And there's nobody out there. So
Well, and it comes back to me that we talked about this before, this competition thing, and that there's nobody out there, and that for one person it might be just being able to get out of bed and walk and get a glass of water today. That is an achievement, and so it is all about what is good for us in this moment. How we challenge ourselves. It doesn't matter what
it's
anybody
your own
else is
personal
doing.
best for you.
Yeah.
And making choices for you and really ultimately owning our own power is ultimately what we're talking about. Planting seeds where you can, but picking up your own pearls and coming into sovereignty so that you can really own your own sovereignty and be this everlasting tree radiating your own living light, going, and living what your truth is, living how you want to live, experiencing that which you want to experience.
What do you think about and we've all experienced, well, I know I've experienced this, I think you have, when you feel like someone's trying to either hold you where you are or kind of pull the reins in on you?
Well, back to this victim thing, and I am experiencing some things that are like this. When someone is operating in victim, if they need it back to that need a perpetrator. If I could say, hey, I love your shirt, and you would go, you don't like my shirt, huh? So you don't like it. Well, I just told you I loved it. Well, you don't like it. That's
Right.
someone making me the perpetrator. It's a real obvious and not so, it's a, not a
Right.
real example.
No,
but
it's
I'm
just a
trying to be
simplicity.
obvious, a
Yeah.
simplicity example that
Yeah.
when someone is in a victim program, you might feel like there is angst or conflict or a not meeting or not seeing it on the same page. I mean one thing and you mean something else. You're taking what I'm saying offensively or defensively. There's some sort of push-pull going
Right.
on, and that's usually what's happening with that program because it wants to create a perpetrator. You're doing something to me, which needs me to be acting this way. it wants to justify the behavior. So it works, victimizer constantly moves from blame and justification. And it kind of moves back and forth between them.
Yeah, so I'll just pull that together with what I was saying, which is if I feel somebody's holding me back or not wanting me to go, I still can't become a victim of that. I can recognize that somebody's doing that, and I have sovereignty over my decisions and what I'm doing.
Right, and we might look at like, what is that's created? It's back to your own game. Like, why is anyone in my movie with any
Holding
role
me back like that.
on any role?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's it bring up for me? Like,
Yep.
I'm not imprisoned. Have I acted from an imprisoned place? Have I felt that I wasn't capable? Have I said the words "you never let me"? Have I said I'm not allowed? Have I, in some ways, held myself
Right.
back, right? And then once we get through those places, then we just realize, well, somebody else has their own stuff. And now once I've owned my own stuff, and I'm clear that none of that matches, none of that's me. I don't have any hit here. Like, you're clearly on your own movie having this experience, and I'm not in it. You're projecting. If you're feeling that, you've now graduated from your own feelings around it. And now you're seeing that someone else is just in that movie. And then you get to choose, do I want to be part of this or not? And you can simply walk away. You can simply not involve yourself in those stories.
Not engage.
Not engage
Yeah.
or unweave yourself or whatever it requires.
Right.
And that goes back to listening to Source, going into meditation, getting clear guidance, and playing out all the steps and the pieces so that you feel really in alignment with your own highest good and the choices you are making. Which brings me...
Thank you, dear. So we're gonna both take a breath because we're in for a treat. Michál is going to read a poem that she recently put together, and we want to make sure we have plenty of time for that so she can take her time. And if we run over, it's my show, so I'm the next person on.
Right,
so
exactly.
you just take your time.
I don't think it'll go that long.
Okay, just take your time.
It's not that long.
And here's Michál.
Okay, so this poem is actually very much in alignment with everything we just said and about this time frame and the choices being made. So I'm going to try and read it slowly because I tend to go very fast. So here we go. These timelines can be tricky, shifting all the time. That's why I choose where I put my energy and my mind. I discern with what microbes I commingle. It takes more than a tune and a jingle. I know the infinite light radiates in me. I know I am sovereign and I am free. My worth is not defined by the pictures one projects from one's mind. Your limited scape has no take on that which I truly am, for that which I stand. For my guidance comes not from man, but from the source of which I am. The starlight that shimmers bright lights my way through the night. I allow the Christic air to guide me with gentle breeze. I flow as the river with grace and ease. I allow the divine design to unwind any illusions from my mind. I unfold the stories that have been told, erasing in real time, rewriting to the divine, 0 point, life-sustaining energy. I am harmonic balance unity. Magnetic, electric intertwine to create the divine trine, triple infused sublime. I flow the new earth paradigm. This temple houses the Christ living light. In gratitude as I vibrate bright. I am the shimmer soul shine. I embody my highest and best timeline. In service to the infinite one, I get to play, be joyful, and have fun. Every day, every breath, giving thanks and praise. Ah, so good to radiate love's ways.
Thank you, dear. Well, we still have a few minutes. I want to thank you for sharing your poem, and you've read that to me before, but you've read that
just 2 days ago.
Yes. This was, I really appreciate your pacing. I could really take it in and hear the words and the magic of it. So thank you for that. And I hope everybody out there got to enjoy it. And this, of course, is recorded, so people will get to hear it again and again and again as a podcast on Apple and Spotify. We're not doing Google here anymore, so Apple and Spotify podcast.
Yes, you can also find it on my channel, Michál Anna.
Did you record that on and put it on YouTube?
No, I literally just wrote it like 4 days ago. Like I just wrote it. I mean, I read it to you like 2 days ago because I had literally just written it.
It was new, yeah.
It's brand new.
Well, and I love your sharing another part of your creative energy. You know, what comes through you right now is that, and
yeah, well, if those of you who don't know, I'm actually an English creative writing major, and I have a degree in English creative writing. I was a published poet as a young person.
Nice.
And so I come from that, come from a lot of writing, and my first album was a collection of poetry. So it's kind of like coming back to many things and bringing forward that as one of the things I love. I love words. I love wordsmithing, as do you, I know.
Yeah.
So it's very fun to share these morsels with one another.
It is.
And encourage all of us to just expand whatever creative outlets, whatever flows, and wherever spirit guides you, go into it and allow yourself to feel that yumminess.
Yeah, maybe it's in cooking or dancing or music or whatever, visual arts, or it's
endless.
It's endless.
The amount of fun we can have.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, to leave on a note of like, what are you building? What are you creating? What are you letting go of? What are we, just kind of some questions for you to think about. Just what am I letting go of? What am I bringing in? Back to that. And what am I really willing to call out in myself? What pink elephants am I going to open the door on? And just maybe, you know, a little more committing to this yes, knowing that if it's not a yes, like a heck yeah, then it's probably a no. So committing to more of your own highest good, your own best interest, that which serves your highest path.
Absolutely. And know the difference between a yes, a maybe, and a no, because the maybe is probably a no. And
that's what if it's not a heck yeah, then it's a no.
It's probably
Same
a no.
thing.
And not that it's just either or, but in that case, I think it could be. And one of the things I've come to say more lately is no is a complete sentence. You know, I'll say, someone will ask me something and I'll say no, and then they'll ask me the same thing in a different way, and I'm like, no. Like, I don't have to have a big explanation why I'm saying no to whatever it is. It's just no, thank you, no. Yeah.
Follow your own bliss.
Follow your bliss. Follow
wisdom,
your heart.
Follow your heart.
Yes, and thank you, Michál, for a beautiful day today.
Thank you, Eila.
And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'm going to have the family coming this week, so I don't know if I'm doing women's voices next week. We'll see.
Well, it's all beautiful, and we wish everyone out there a beautiful rest of your day. And thank you for sharing this time with us. Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.